Hello, Positive Filter listeners. This is Philip Wilkerson. And so I have an episode I wasn't really thinking about dropping, but I am the faculty advisor for the GMU Photography Club. And we recently had a panel talking about how to turn your freelance photography opportunities into full time. And we were joined by a good friend and past guest, Elijah Griffin Sr., and he shared some wonderful insights with the Photography Club about how he used his experience in photography to transition and work for the Washington Football Club. So I felt that this episode or that content was worth sharing with the greater community through Positive Filter, and wanted to share this with you, the listeners. So please enjoy this episode about turning your freelance opportunities into full-time opportunities. Welcome to Positive Filter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career, with a little self-help along the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the show.
And then Elijah will introduce himself. All right. My name is Alessandra. I'm the vice president, and I'm a senior at Mason. I'm studying information technology, and I've been taking pictures since I was probably like 5 years old.
Wow, that's pretty young. If you don't already know me, I'm the president of the organization. My name is Catherine. I am also a senior. I'm majoring in ISOM, Informational Systems Operational Management, in the School of Business. What else? I shoot on a Nikon D3300. I've been shooting since I took photography class in high school, so definitely not since I was 5. So I'm still learning a lot. My favorite thing to shoot is probably like nature, landscapes, but I'm definitely trying to get more into like different themes like portrait and things like that. But that's about it for me. Elijah, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and we can start asking you questions?
Cool. I am Elijah Walter Griffin Sr. I'm a professional NFL photographer. I also have my own business, Griffin Vision, as it says there on the screen. Been taking pictures, since I was probably in elementary school. Got serious about it in high school and, did a lot of other things, but I would always circle back to photography. So that's why I'm here. And happy to meet you guys, and any questions you guys have, shoot away.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to ask you a few questions and then we'll bring it to our attendees to ask you any questions. First question I have for you is, how did you start in photography? Like, what interested you and like what's your journey with it?
Nice. So how I started in photography is in sports. Played basketball, football, baseball, did a lot growing up, and I would see these guys on the side. I didn't even think photography was an actual profession. And so I never really thought that I could actually do it. I just thought people were just bought a camera and were taking it. But once I started talking to people and realizing like these were actual professional photographers taking it, I got serious and, bought a camera. And well, I didn't buy the camera. My mom and dad bought the camera. And just started from there. My father would always tell me, whatever profession I wanted to do, like find somebody doing it and then model after them. You know what I mean? So that's what I did.
Awesome. Alessandra, do you want to ask him another question that we have?
Wait, before Alessandra asks a question, I just want to restate what Phil said in the chat. So if y'all have any questions, for those of you that are attending but are not on the panel, there's a Q&A section on the bottom. You can click it and you can ask your questions there as Elijah's talking.
Thank you, Athena.
And the next question is for you, Elijah, is how did you balance photography part-time while working full-time?
Nice. That's a very good question. So how I did it is that I just said, I have to work, I have to make money, because photography wasn't, at the beginning, it wasn't bringing in any money. It was more of a hobby. And um, like I said, from the beginning, I finance degree. And so I was a life cycle cost estimator, which is a person who costs out projects for the Department of Defense. And so that was my job. That's what I did. I liked it. It was really good paying job. But I wasn't passionate about it. I was just good at it. And so what I started doing is I started, especially when my work days weren't as demanding, you know what I mean? I just started looking for opportunities to actually get paid from photography. And so once I did that, the jobs just kept coming, and to the point where I had 2 full-time jobs. And so I had to decide, am I going to be a serious photographer, or am I just going to do it part-time? And so, talking with my wife, we just made a decision that, it was a plan. It was like a 2-year plan. It wasn't just something I just decided overnight that I was going to do. It was a 2-year plan. We said, okay, we're going to save money. And then once we hit this number, we'll feel comfortable about you doing this full-time. And that's what happened. And so the balance is, if it's something you really want to do, you'll make time for it. If not, you'll make excuses. So I made time for it. Some excuses too. Don't get, like you always, it's never the way somebody says, oh yeah, I've always been passionate about this. Yeah, I was passionate about it, but at the same time, I have to make money. And so if it's not bringing in money, it's a hobby. You know what I mean? It's more of it's not really a career or something that I can sustain. And so I had to put myself in a position to where I was making money doing it. And my wife felt comfortable with saying, oh yeah, this is really something that he can do full time. So yeah, that was it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough decision. So,
Sure.
you mentioned that, you shoot for the Washington football team. I have to get used to saying that now instead of the other name. But so how'd you get connected with that opportunity?
So everything that I just said, I set myself up to the point where I said, you know what, I'm going to work, I'm going to save money, and then I'll be able to look for these opportunities. And the reason why I say that, because if I would have had that full-time job, I wouldn't have been able to do this. You know what I mean? This setting myself up for that opportunity allowed me to be available, have the time, when they called, when they were looking for a replacement, I had the time. And so what I did is I worked for free. So I used to work in Falls Church at the DHA building, which is, over in Falls Church. They call it the Q, the defense headquarters. And I would take a 2-hour lunch break and go to practice. And so practice there in Ashburn. So it would take me probably 15 minutes to get to practice. So I would go take pictures at practice for free, leave there, come back, edit them, still on my lunch break, and then go back to work, post them up. And so that's how they actually found me. They found me because when a new guy that they hired, he was looking for people to replace, put in these positions. And he didn't know anybody. So he's looking around. So of course he goes on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and he searches photographer, Washington football photographers. And he looked and saw my pictures. And so he had already been following me. So when the job opened up and I reached out to him, he was like, oh yeah, I already follow you, dude. You know what I mean? You do good work. I've been following you since last year. And I was blown away. I was like, yo, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't have had those opportunities. Like I did it for free. I get paid for it, but I was passionate enough to do it for free first, and take like I had to extend my work day by an hour because I'm taking 2 hours for my lunch break. And so now it's not no longer, I think I was doing 6 to 2 at the time. Now it's 6 to 3 or 6 to 4, depending on, you know what I mean, how that works out. So that's how I, was able to do that.
Ooh,
Awesome.
I have a question. How did you accumulate your portfolio?
You do it by
And how did you choose which pictures to put on your portfolio and which ones to keep out?
so those are some really good questions, by the way. And how I pick my photos depending on what I'm trying to portray. So if I love to shoot football, so I only put up things of players that people know. So Washington football team, everybody knows Dwayne Haskins, Chase Young, and Terry McLaurin. So I put more pictures of them up, sprinkled in with the other players because it gets more hits. People search Terry McLaurin, people search for certain names. And so if you put that in and I hashtag it, and so my photos come up, they generate more. And so I only put up what I'm interested in. Like I do a lot other things, weddings, high school games, professional games, I do a lot, but you never see that on my profile because that's not what I'm trying to portray.
Advertise yourselves.
I'm not trying to advertise that. Like I'll do weddings, like weddings are very lucrative. I'll do those, but I'm not a wedding photographer. There are people who strictly do weddings, and you go on their page, that's all you see. It's just weddings. You go on my page, all you see is football, basketball. That's all I want you to see, because when somebody calls me for, oh, I want you to, photograph my daughter at, she's playing at this place. Yeah, I'll do that because that's what I do. But, you want me to do a birthday party, I'll do it, but that's not what I want people to see. You see what I'm saying? So you just you put out what you want people to see, basically. So that's how I choose it. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me to add to that. The reason why I said those were really good questions, because when I see other photographers, and so now that I am a professional photographer, okay, and I look at other professional photographers, because that's the people that I am gauging my pictures against. I'm saying, oh, okay, I'm the professional photographer for the Washington football team. I'm looking at the Eagles. I'm looking at the Giants. What are they doing? What are they doing this? What are they doing that? And some people just post everything. Like you'll get to see every single shot that they ever take. And when you do that, you open yourself up for criticism, because it's like, instead of putting your best 20 pictures up, you put 100, and 100 there's some pictures in there that might not look good. And you never know which pictures people are going to see. So I always try to put up my best work. You see what I'm saying? And so that's just what I do.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
So I see people have been putting questions in the chat. We'll get to those soon. We have a couple more questions that we have as an e-board. But so our next question would be, how did you continue to get better and advance in your photography skills?
So you get better just by doing work. You have to have the opportunity. You have to always shoot, whether you have a job or not. And so I don't just pick up a camera when, the team needs something. Like I always have the camera with me. It's always in my car. It's always wherever I go. You know what I mean? And even if I don't have the camera right then and there, I have my phone. You know what I mean? I have my phone. Like I'm going to capture that moment regardless, anything. And so when I first started out, I would go around and take pictures of people in the park and say, look, I can send you this picture. You know what I mean? I just take a picture of you. Do you want this picture? They're like, yeah. So I give them my card, boom, I send them the picture. Now they have my information. Now I took a picture of them down when they're looking for a photographer to do anything. Oh, yeah, I remember that guy that stalked me at the like come out of nowhere, offered. Now that I look back on it, but maybe you probably shouldn't do that. Just walk up to people taking pictures now. But that's what I did. And so I would go around just, taking pictures and offering, for free. Like I wasn't charging the people, but that was networking for me. How are you gonna, reach people if you're never around people? And so that's that.
Okay, great. We have one last question as an e-board to you, and then we can get into the other questions that our participants have for you. So our last question is, what would you tell your past self if you could time travel and you went in a time machine? What would you tell yourself?
Yeah. So I would tell myself, believe that I could actually do it, and I would have started a long time ago. Like I love the years that I spent doing accounting and working in finance. But I feel like if I would have believed in myself that I could do it back when I was you guys' age, that by the time I'm the age I am now, I would have been an NFL photographer for 20 years. You know what I mean? I would have already, reached those goals that I'm trying to reach now. And so I would just say, look, go at it, go for it. I mean, back then I didn't have a wife, I didn't have kids, it was just me. And so even if I didn't succeed, I'm not hurting anybody but myself, you know what I'm saying? And just because you didn't succeed doesn't mean that it wasn't you didn't learn anything, you know what I mean? I could have gotten that out of the way and then it could have shown me a different path. But now it seemed like I went into a career and then I spent all that money for college, got in a career, and then really went into my passion later on in life. But I'm glad I did because it set me up for, to have a wife and kids and different things like that. Probably might have, if I ever started back then, but everything happened for a reason. But I would tell you guys, whatever you're trying to do, like go after it. You know what I mean? You don't have to money was never the motivation for me to get in photography. It's just what I love to do. You know what I mean? I wasn't motivated by the money. I wasn't even motivated to take pictures of professional athletes or be around professional athletes. It just came like that. Like if I never amounted to anything other than taking pictures of high school students, which people make a very good living doing, that's what I would just be doing. Like there are people who only do high school football, basketball, baseball games and take pictures of high school students, and they make a good living, like a really good living, because they've found their niche, and so somebody has to do it. And so that's what I would tell myself, just go after it, because there were opportunities that I had that I didn't take because I didn't believe that I could actually do it. You see what I'm saying? I had that self-doubt. I don't know if I can make a career out of this. I got to get a real job type thing. You know what I mean? But as I grew up and realized that, no, this is a real job. You know what I mean? And it's a job that I like doing. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a real question, and I threw it off of there because I know this dude, and he's doing so many things in the community, and so I just thought of this question. I'm gonna ask it with my funny lamp in the background, but I know you as a person of the community, Northern Virginia. The community is very, very important to you, and so I wanted to ask a question about how you use your gifts in photography for something other than, as you said, monetary, how you use it for serving others, which I know you do.
Yeah.
And I want you to share that with the students of how utilizing your gifts in photography and other ways that you've done within the community. If you can share some examples and how you still do that too, because I want you to just touch upon how this skill that you have is not just about money, it's about other parts of purpose.
Yeah. That's a really good question, Funny Lamp Guy. And so I'm going to, I I got into doing this because I wanted to take pictures and make people feel good. You know, it wasn't really about, oh, that's a nice picture. You know, I like for people to feel like, you know, oh man, you took a really, really nice picture of me. Can I post that? Can I, you know, have that? And so that in turn makes them feel better. And so what Phil is getting, you know, what he's alluding to, you know, the different things in the community that I'm a part of. I like, so I do football, you know, and basketball and baseball and all other sports, but I also am a photojournalist, and I go to different like rallies and the different protests and different things in the community, documenting that for, you know, newspapers and even for myself, because I feel like certain things should, you know, be photographed and spread to the mass, especially if it's something that is very meaningful. One of the things that I did 4 years ago, I was watching NBC News, and a guy was riding a motorcycle and he got shot and killed over on New York Avenue in DC. And I was drawn to it because a guy came on there and it was his friend, and he was saying how bad it was, and you know how this guy was a good person, and this and that, and things like this shouldn't happen. And I immediately, you know, I was watching it with my wife, and I said I should go out there and document it, because they had taken over the street. Basically, they were protesting, you know, right outside where it happened. And I went over there with my camera, didn't know anybody there, saw the guy who I saw on TV, went up to him and introduced myself, said, look, do you mind if I, you know, just document this? And he was like, yeah. And it's 4 years later, he's one of my best friends. And he, you know, I met somebody that, you know, I'll know for the rest of my life through just a connection. And so photography is not just about, you know, the picture, it's about the connection, because we can all take a picture and look at a picture and we can all get something different out of it. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, a picture, what do they say, a picture, you know, you can look at it 1,000 different ways, you know? And so we are all drawn to photography, but we all can get something different out of it. And so I use my camera as a way to speak. You know, I speak through the lens. And so that's just what I've always, you know, wanted to do, and what I'm very passionate about now. And it's not just, you know, I love sports, but to be able to document, you know, current events and different things going on, and to see people, you know, in a different way through photography is something I'm really proud about. That's what I love doing. Did that answer your question, Phil?
Yes, it did perfectly. And I had to go upstairs and back downstairs, back to the lamp. So, you know, the optics would be the same in my image. And I definitely, that was not like a softball question, but, you know, knowing you, I wanted to definitely share that, especially the other things you're doing in the community. You have a scholarship, and he has his own scholarship named after his mother, and he takes photos there and he documents that. And I just wanted to like definitely share that with the group of students, that for you, this is just more than, obviously your job is to be a photographer for the Washington Football Club. But I think that I want to just touch upon like how you use it as your voice. And you directly said that as your voice to, you know, help others, you know, make people feel good. I love that part. You know, when your boy look fresh, you get photos of them. And also just how you, you know, make sure that people know what's going on in the community.
Absolutely.
And I think you shared a really good story that obviously there's nothing to stop you from documenting your as students, documenting what's going on campus, or going on in your communities or back home, and using those things not just to make money, but also just like make a difference, or change something, or you know, I think one of the things that a lot of people realize is how powerful, you know, when they show like photos that are like the ones that are the best photos, like you know, civil rights. The civil rights movement got a lot of play and a lot of of attention, national attention, because someone was there to document it. A
Yep.
lot of people don't know what's going on in the community,
Mhm.
but when someone takes a
Yeah.
picture and
Yeah.
shares that, which can make a lot of change, and obviously it's more instant now than
Yeah.
it was back in the past, because
Yeah.
you can do it via social media and it's already a wrap.
Absolutely.
And you're showing what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was just you touched upon it, great. And I don't want
you're-
to rob the students of what they want to share and ask
yeah.
questions.
You're definitely right about the whole thing where, like now, I mean, there's a camera in your phone. You know what I mean? I mean, you gotta understand, like back when the guys were taking the pictures at, during the civil rights rallies, they had these big old cameras and they are one shot. Like you don't even know if you got the shot until you get home and process it. You know what I mean? Now we're so spoiled that we can take a picture. Oh, no, I don't like that. Change the angle. You couldn't do that back then. So those guys were like the real deal photographers. I mean, imagine doing a wedding and taking these pictures and not knowing until you get home if you got the shot. Imagine if you did not get the shot. It's like, we have the, because technology, we have, we can see it right away. And so with that, people, take pictures all over kids, and they document things in real time now. Before it wasn't in real time, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, even with video cameras, I mean, it took a while to be able to upload that, even news people, like nothing was, it was live, but, if you had to chop something up, I mean, that took time to process. And now, I think that's why you see more people involved in photography, because not saying it's easy, it's definitely easier than it was back then. I mean, I got a guy that I see at games, and he has been documenting the team since the 60s. And he said when he first started, I mean, the guy's like got to be close to 90. He said when he first started, like they had the cameras with the big old like bulb lens, and you could only take a couple shots, and then you had to wait like 3-4 minutes for it to like cycle. And so you had to pick and choose when you would snap this camera. It's like, all right, it's a big moment, bam. But if another big moment came, if you didn't have another camera, you would miss it because it just took a while for cameras to process back then. Now, I mean, I have a camera that shoots, I mean, you're talking about 25, 30 pictures per second. Like it literally goes, shoot. So I see the whole scene. I mean, they didn't even have that capability back then. But I mean, it's just, I love every aspect of it. But go ahead. Next question.
So you touched a lot on, cameras and the new ones and the old ones. So I know a couple people have been asking like what camera and lens you use. And then also going off of that, Melissa brought up a really good question. If you can take professional photos through a regular camera phone, if you don't have like a high-end, expensive camera.
Great question. So it's not even about, so the camera that I use a Nikon D5. I'm a Nikon photographer. It's because I started with Nikon. I never even, when I see Canon, I don't even touch it. I'm like, you know what I mean? Not saying I just started here. So, that's what I learned. I mean, the majority of the people who work in sports use Canon, by the way. They do. When you see those big, long silver lenses, those are Canon lenses. You know what I mean? The Nikon lenses are black. So, which is also an advantage for me because Nikon will reach out to me and say, oh, here's a new lens. Once they find out that I'm a Nikon photographer, they'll say, here's a lens we'll let you use for, I mean, it might be a $15,000, $20,000 lens, you know what I mean? Because they want that, they want that publicity. Like, oh yeah, we have some guys, who shoot. So I have a Nikon D5, and I use, a wide range of lenses. Depends on what it is, For sports, I'm using for the short shots, it's 24-70, and then for the intermediate shots, it's 70-200, and then for my long range shots, which is basically the pictures you see on my page, I'm basically in one spot, just taking, you know, with a long telephoto lens. That's probably like a 500 prime. And so that's what I'm using there. But for like regular, everyday, you know, shooting, you don't have to have an expensive camera. If you know how to use a camera, you can use anything. You know what I mean? Even with your phone, like the new, like, I mean, I have an iPhone, and an iPhone lets you play with the settings. They let you, you know, speed up the shutter speed or slow it down, you know, being dependent on. So if you're shooting, you know, a sport, you speed it up so that you can catch it, you know. But if you're shooting, I don't know, a sunrise, you slow it down. You know what I mean? If you're doing time lapse or anything like that. So it's you just need to learn the basics and continue to learn. Like there's things that I will learn tomorrow, you know what I mean, that I didn't know. Just because, you know, I'm professional doesn't mean that I am void of learning. Like I continue to learn. And that's why I look at other photographers, you know, especially the people that have been doing it longer than I have, you know, because there's a lot to learn. And with photography, I find my lane. Everybody has a lane. All of us are not the same. We do things different. You know, I'm 6'6", and so when I stand up and with my camera, my vantage point is up here, and so my pictures look different because basically I'm looking eye to eye with the professional, you know, football players. You know what I mean? I'm tall, so I'm looking at them like this. But somebody much shorter gets a different vantage point. They can look up at the person, so they see things like, you know, the trees in the back. If they're down here, they see the head with the trees in the back. You know, we have I think she's 23. She works with the team, and she also takes pictures. And she specializes in getting shots from down low, looking up. And so her pictures automatically look different from mine. You know what I mean? Just by the way. And so it's just got to find your lane. And so I found my lane of doing things. But you know, if I find something different, it might change. You know what I mean? But yeah, with any camera, I suggest just, you know, getting a basic camera, learning the camera, because Nikon is in stages. So Nikon, you can get the basic Nikon, and then what you know from there, you can take it and move up. You know what I mean? It only changes, you know, Nikon very rarely changes the configuration of where the buttons and things are. So you can get a basic. I mean, I started off with a I think D90 camera, okay, which you could probably buy for $40 now. Back then it probably was $1,000 camera. That D90 and my D5, the only difference is this is newer, has Wi-Fi, you know, my newer Wi-Fi, faster shutter speed, you know, better clarity. But if you know how to edit, you know, in Lightroom and different editing softwares, I can make really good pictures with that D90. You know what I mean? Somebody put that D5 in the hand of somebody that don't know what they're doing, they're not going to get great pictures. You see what I'm saying? It's all about, you know, you got to know what you're doing. And if you're shooting on auto, are y'all shooting on auto out there? Oh, okay.
Some of us are, some of us
Yeah.
aren't. Like,
Yeah. So the thing is, there's nothing wrong with shooting on auto. Like but when you make that next step, you want to be able to control your camera, because auto, you're basically giving the camera, you know, telling the camera, show me, you know, tell me what the light is, tell me what this is, tell me what that is. But on manual, you can adjust it yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can make the picture darker or lighter depending on how you know, you mess with the settings. So yeah, I mean, I started on auto. I didn't know, you know, I thought I was doing something until somebody told me, like, yeah, so until you start messing with the settings and taking the pictures that way, then, you know, you're not really maximizing your abilities, basically. But yeah, that's it. Keep on. Next.
Alessandra.
Oh, you want me to read it? I thought you were gonna read it. All right. Well, another question is from the chat is, are practices open to the public? How
So,
did you get access to them in the first place?
okay, so practices used to be open to the public. They used to, so they have certain days where the public can come if they just register and you stand behind a line and you get to see portions of the practice. That went away probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And so now they have designated days when um, people can come out. So basically, training camp down in Richmond, when we went to training camp down in Richmond, of course, we didn't do it this year because of COVID 19, but anybody can go to training camp, down in Richmond. You buy a ticket, you go, you can take pictures, you can do whatever. They have, an hour or 2 hour portion where take pictures with players, they'll do drills and different things. And so, yes, but these days, practices are off limits. You have to have a media credential. And so they only allow like the Washington Post reporter and NBC, ABC, Fox, all the local, and then the big boys, ESPN and what I'm saying, Fox Sports and people like that. They only allow those people in. And so it has changed even from last year, because last year there was like 20 to 25 people at practices. Now that's cut in half. Now it's like 12 because of the whole social distancing thing. And then they just don't want a lot of people congregating in the same space. And so, yeah. So how I got in, like I said, I went, I registered and I just networked and was able to work for a newspaper, and they allowed me to get the credentials. You know what I mean? They contacted the team. Look, we cover the team. We need our photographer to be able to go to practice. Boom. That's how I was initially first able to go to practices. And then from there, once you're in the building, you just start networking with people. You know what I mean? Because you're actually talking to the person who makes the decision who comes in and who comes out. And so they see me, every time. So when I request, oh, I want to be at this game or I want to be at this practice, it's a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, he comes. And remember, I was doing this on my own dime. You know what I mean? Which, that took a lot of, it was hard to do because, like I said, I was extending my days, and that's another hour or 2 hours that I'm not at home. You know what I mean? So now I got to tell my wife and my kids, like, yeah, so I said I was gonna be there at 5. Now it's gonna be more like 6:30. So the good thing about it is it's not every day. They only practice 3 days a week. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then they do like walkthroughs. So Monday is more of a, they review film and then they have like team meetings. Tuesday, same thing. They're getting like therapy and, working on their bodies and everything. So they go hard Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday is more like a light day. And depending on if they are on the road or at home, it depends on what they do on Saturday. So if they're at home, they'll do another walkthrough. But if they're on the road, they would leave on Friday, sometime after practice, and then go to whatever city and then stay in the hotel for the next 2 days until the game, basically. So that's that.
So, question going off of that, do you only shoot practices and home games, or do you also go to their away games?
Okay, so with COVID, I was not able to go to games this year. So they won't allow anybody so they have tiers. Tier 1 are players and coaches, okay? Tier 2 is the equipment staff and like the people who actually they need to run the game. So the ball boys, the people, the towels, everybody who takes care of the players and the coaches. I'm tier 3, everybody who's does video, photography, and then the team reporters and everybody else. And so we're not allowed to travel. Okay, they already said, NFL said only a certain tier 1 and tier 2 can travel. And so I'm not able to travel this year. And so how I'm going to get around that this year is that we play, there are there are stadiums that are allowing fans on a limited capacity. Pittsburgh is one of them. Philly, I think, is one of them. And I just heard that San Francisco is allowing 3,000 fans or whatever. So I can petition a credential to San Francisco and go as my own business. I wouldn't be going as the team. I would be going as Griffin Vision, my business, but they would allow me to do it because I'm already a professional photographer. So that's how I'm going to be able to go. But next year, once all of this, hopefully once all this, I'll be on the road everywhere with them. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so next question I see is from Carissa. She has a really good question. She asks, did you learn most of your techniques on your own, or did you take like any special classes for photography?
Okay, so good question. So initially, I had no idea what I was doing. Okay, I just had a camera and I thought I was taking really good pictures, and you get, because it's when the normal eye sees a picture, they say, oh, that's a good picture. But from a person who does this for a living can look at that and say, well, that was out of focus. This was wrong. The color here, you edited that wrong. And so I had no idea what I was doing to start off until I start seeing other people's pictures. And then I said, oh man, how did they do that? And so I went and started actually studying and taking classes and being on, different sites and looking at videos and opening books and, and like actually studying, the art of photography and what, different things are, which you guys are pretty, are learning, how to frame a shot, you know what I mean? How to, make this dark and make this light, you know what I mean? And so that comes with just practice. It just comes with practice and asking people questions. I mean, I will ask anybody anything because I need to learn it. And so if I see something that I need, like even today, if I see a technique that somebody else is doing, I will 100% reach out to them and ask them. I mean, people are in my inbox every single day asking me these same questions. And I take the time out to answer every single person back. And they always say, oh, I didn't think you were going to answer me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll answer you because remember, I was that person in somebody else's inbox. You know what I mean? I was in there asking people, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you get there? How did you? And if that person, did take the time out to, I mean, there were a lot of people that blew me off, you know what I mean? But the people that did reach out to me and tell me, what to do, where to go, I mean, I'm forever grateful for that. So when I have the opportunity, that's what I do. I one of the main questions I get is, how do I get an opportunity to do what you're doing? And I always tell them, same thing I've been saying, with these questions. I say, first off, you have to have a portfolio. You have to have done something. Little league, high school, like they have to see that you have the capability of doing this. And that is just the basics. You use that to go to a local newspaper or somebody that can get you credentialed to, whatever organization you're trying to get to. But nobody is answering. You can't just reach out to them and say, yo, I want to, come to practice. And they're like, okay, they have hundreds and thousands of people doing the same thing. You have to find another way. And that way is going through a publication, working for a publication, even if it's free. You know what I mean? You just do it so that you can gain access to different organizations. So yeah, like a lot of this, a lot of what you see out there, people are doing for free. People are just doing it to get the access. And then that leads to paid opportunities. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell me 2 years ago, you couldn't look at my pictures and say, oh, he's not getting paid for that. No, I was not getting paid for that. I was doing it on my own. But it led to an opportunity. It led to paying gigs. And then that led to here. And so, yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to be free. And you have to do it because there are thousands of people who will do it for free. And so you cannot jump in front of them if you don't, gain the experience, do it, gain the experience, and then use that portfolio to put you into the doors that you want to, get through. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. For the next question is from our former president.
What happened?
She used to be our president last.
Y'all voted her out?
Every year we switch.
We have re-elections.
Yeah.
It's just joking.
Do you have phases where you stop shooting or lose interest in any way? If yes, what keeps you going?
Yeah, absolutely. You like shooting the same thing over and over, you will lose interest because the pictures start looking the same. It's just a routine. There's nothing new. It's just like, I need to find something else to shoot. So there are times where I just put it down and learn something else. So when I was asking Catherine earlier about the, I think it was you that was asking about like design or whatever. I don't know who it was.
Oh,
it was me, Nadia.
Nadia. So I was asking you about design and all these different things because I am taking a course right now that's teaching me, the basics of design and how to make those templates and how to do that. And I had to do that because I got to a point where I was like, yo, this is the same. I'm just going through the motions. I need something different. And so that I had to pick up a new skill to make it like, yo, this is okay, cool. Now I incorporate my pictures into these designs because we have people there who are doing it, who are taking my pictures and making this design, and then they put it up and it's like, oh my God, that's a great design. And I'm like, yeah, but that's my picture in the back. But nobody cares. They just care about the design. You know what I mean? So it's like, yo, I need to learn a new skill. And so I think to make it fresh, you have to continuously learn. Because if you don't, it'll just be the same thing over and over. And eventually you get burnt out. So yes, I get burnt out sometimes. But I find other ways to, to reignite that love of photography. You know what I mean? Good question, by the way.
Yeah, I read that question. I'm like, that's a good question. Because there are times where I go through like days where I'm like super into photography and then I'm just really lazy or like something. And it's like a roller coaster,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
Find
hard to
something,
get motivated.
Find things that, different things. Don't just shoot. Like I said, I shoot a wide range of things. And so, yeah, I might be tired of taking pictures of, sports. Then I go do something else. And so, yeah, as long as you have like a wide range of things that you're trying to do, it'll be a less burnout. But I mean, people get burnt out, a lot of things. But yeah, that's definitely a good question.
I see we do have another question. I might have missed one. So if I did not answer your question, you can just write in the chat. But Melissa asked, what programs do you use to edit your photos?
Okay, so I use Lightroom and Photoshop together. And so they're Adobe programs. So before Lightroom came out, I was using Photoshop. And so I would have to go in and manually do this and do that. But once Lightroom came, Lightroom is strictly for photographers processing. I mean, it makes it just faster, just everything. Everything is just faster, more cleaner. I can have my presets. And so what I do now, like today, I was at practice and I probably took 1,200 pictures, within maybe 30-35 minutes. And so I go back to my Mac and I already have my presets in. And so when I import my pictures, it already imports them with the presets. So when I'm editing, when I'm going to look which ones that I'm going to keep, which ones I'm not, it's basically 60-70% already edited. And now I'm just adjusting light, contrast here, if I want it to be darker here, and so it makes the job way easier. A lot of people use other softwares, but I would recommend Lightroom, definitely Lightroom. And you guys are students, you can get Lightroom for like $5, $5 a month. I mean, it's like they give you a discount to be a student, you know. You can get the Photoshop and the Lightroom combination. And the Photoshop allows you to just like take things and, play with them, take things out, add things. And so I like that. That's another aspect,
All right. So another question we got, this is a long one, but it's really good. When a client reaches out to you for a project that requires skills at the edge of what you think you can do, are you more likely to take the job and risk a bad shoot, or refer to someone who you know has the skill set for a niche?
Man, that is a good question. So, man,
Yeah, that's a tough one.
that's a good one. Because I would say, because that's a question, like to answer that question now, I would be able to do anything that the client is, is asking me to do, because I've done this for a long time. But you asked me this 7 years ago, and then I would say I would risk a bad shoot, which probably would be the worst thing you could do, because the moment you don't want to disappoint people. And sometimes no matter what you do, people are just unrealistic in their expectations of things. And so I would refer them to somebody else, but at the same time, I would ask the person that I'm referring to actually work the job with them. That way I learn it at the same time, because I'm not going to put myself out there and mess up this shoot, because it's not just you're messing it up for yourself, you're messing it up for that person in that moment. They can't get that moment back. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a birthday party or wedding or anything, they can't get that back. Like that's a one of one. A photo shoot you can get back. It's like, oh, I don't like this. Let's do it again next week. But when it's something that's a one, bam, it won't happen again. If you're not comfortable with, I would definitely reach out to somebody else but ask them to work. That way you're learning. You're learning while, doing the job. But yeah, I wouldn't take a job that I wasn't comfortable with executing, because that's your work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that's a good answer to a tough question.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, I don't see any more questions, so I'll open it up to the rest of eBoard. Nadia, Nick, Alessandra, and even Philip, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Griffin. Thank you for being here. Not much. I'm the club secretary, so it really is a pleasure to have you here.
No problem.
So I'm sure you've had some experience with freelance photography when you were starting out, right? So what do you think is the best strategy to continue to find work other than networking, for example?
So depends on what you want to do. There's a lot of different areas of photography. I would start to gain portfolio and have, and practice shooting. I would start with my family. I would take pictures of everybody in the family. If there's a birthday party, I would do their birthday party. If there's a basketball game, I would go to the basketball game. If there's this, and so that way you have a wide range of different things. And this your family. If you mess it up, they're not gonna be that mad at you. You know what I mean? You're learning on the thing. I'd rather do that than, put myself in a position where I'm doing it for somebody that I don't know and I don't execute the way that I want to. But moving from there, you have to find what you're good at. You know what I mean? You good at portrait photography, you just go around and start taking pictures of people, and you go to the park and different things like that. You go to settings, like I said, a lot of this is going to be non-paid. You know what I mean? Because you're learning. You know what I mean? People don't pay like people that do this for a living don't get paid for what they don't know. They get paid for what they do know. You know what I mean? What they do know how to do. You know what I mean? And if I already know how to do this, I can show you this what I did. You know what I mean? When you're looking, oh, do you do weddings? Absolutely. Let me send you this link to my pictures that I've done, the 20 weddings that I've done. Oh, I like that. I want you to do this. All right, cool. Boom. Sports, same thing. You know, you just have to find what you are good at, what you're passionate about, and what you're good at. And even if you're not good at it, you just work towards it. Man, y'all, when I was in college, there was no YouTube, there was no any of that. You guys have everything now. I mean, man, when a new camera comes out, I don't even read the book. I go buy the camera and I go on YouTube, and there's a guy that sits there and tells me everything I need to know about that camera in 20 minutes. And it's easier because now, even if I need to refresh on something, I say, oh, okay, well, I already know that. I go to that chapter, boom, I'll just read that. Like, you guys have everything at your fingertips. I mean, you take pictures with your phone. I mean, I didn't even have a phone when I was in college. Like, it was crazy. Like, I mean, it's so much knowledge you guys can get in a short period of time now, and you need to maximize it. You need to use it. YouTube, all different types of forums. I mean, anything you want to know, you know, I mean, you can follow photographers. You can literally follow how they, you know, edit things, how they look for work, how they do this, how they do that. But I would say start local, start with your family, then your friends, and then they'll tell somebody, and then that's where your base comes from. My first jobs were my family, and then my family friends, and then their friends, and then the rest is history. So if they believe in you, if your family believes in you, and their friends believe in you, oh man, you got a great start, because they'll tell you if you're not good. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or you need to work on something. I mean, it's not it like it's what you need to work on, basically. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely start with family, you know, and do it. And don't even worry about, like, initially, don't even worry about getting paid. You know what I mean? You just worry about getting good pictures that you can show other people, that you can put on a portfolio. You know, there's a girl that I've been working with for the last 2 years. And when she first started out, I told her, out of all your pictures, pick your best one and you post that. Just one. We would go and do, you know, events. And I say, just post one picture. Go in there, edit this one good picture and post it. And people will say, man, that's a really good picture. But you put up 10 pictures and 9 of them are bad. They're not worrying about that one picture. You know what I mean? And so that's, like, it's just, yeah, it takes a while, trust me. Yeah. But it's way easier now. You know what I mean? It's just so much knowledge, you know, that you can find out, you know, from YouTube and different, you know, social media. I mean, even right now, I mean, you go on, like, add me on Instagram, and once you add me, it'll show you, oh, so you follow Griffin Vision. It'll show you 15 other photographers that are like, you know, in the same industry or does certain things, and you just follow them. And so you get to see 15 different views of photography. You know what I mean? People that you never even met, but you can see them and say, oh man, I like that. You know, let me try that out. Or I like that, you know? So yeah, it's just way easier now, man. Good question though, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think learning right now for our generation, technology is at our fingertips, so it's really easy to, like, gain knowledge.
Yeah.
A good question that just came in is, have you done any video work in the past professionally?
Ooh, love video. Not just a photographer, also a videographer. Love video. Like video. So the reason why I love video as well is because a person cannot be there, but you can put out a video and it automatically they automatically go there. They automatically know what you did, where you were, how many people were there, this and that. I mean, you could do that with pictures, but it's something with video and them being able to hear what's going on and different things. So I love video. Um, I'm definitely more of a photographer than the videographer. There are people who know way more than I do about video. I just like the freedom of photography. Say, like, I like to be able to shoot whatever I want to shoot. When you do video, it's more of a focus. Like the people who do video for the NFL, they have to focus here, focus on the play. You know what I mean? Oh, the quarterback hands the ball off, and they're following. Me, I can shoot whatever. The game could be going on. I could turn around, look in the crowd, and be taking pictures of the crowd. You know what I mean? I can find. You can't do that with video. You know, I do that with the video. I'd be fired. You know what I mean? The play was going on. You're looking in the crowd, like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But video, it's they go hand in hand, but it's video's a lot of work though. A lot of work with the editing and different things. But yeah, I definitely, as a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine is getting married in December, and they hired me to do photography and the videography. So of course I can't do them both at the same time. So I have a team of people. I'll have a second shooter for the photography, and then I hire 2 other people to do the video. And so they basically wanted me to like supervise this. They knew I couldn't do it all at the same time. And that's another thing you'll get. Once you start working and you start meeting new people, they become your team. You can't do things by yourself. You know what I mean? There are events that I need coverage in 3 different areas. I can't be in 3 different areas at the same time. So I hire 2 other people. And it goes back to that previous question when I was saying, yo, you're not comfortable with doing this. Send them to somebody else, but ask that person, can I work that? Can I work that with you? Yeah, of course, blah, blah, blah. And so you learn from that experience. But yeah, cool.
So when you do video, do you shoot with the same camera or do you have a different camera?
So I have a different camera. I can shoot with the same camera, but the DSLR cameras, they have a time limit. So most cameras are 20 minutes continuous. And then my D5, I think, is 30 minutes. And so if I'm shooting something that is an hour long, I need to be able to shoot that continuous instead of in 20-minute increments. So I miss something. So it cuts off and then I press it again. I just missed that 3 seconds. Might not be that big of a deal, but it's 3 seconds of a wedding, during the vows, or something. And so I use a actual video camera for that. You know what I mean? And I mean, these days, video cameras, I mean, they're all good. If you get a good brand, like, they're all good. You don't need a high-end one. Like, if you know how to edit, you don't need a high-end camera or video or any of that. The people that really, really know how to edit can make anything look good, as long as you have it in focus. So yeah.
I have a question. Is there any equipment that you have to have with you at all times?
Yeah. So, with the digital cameras, I have to have memory cards. I have to have extra memory cards. With my camera shooting 25 to 30 shots per second, the memory card gets filled up really, really quick. And the worst thing you want to do is run out of, space, because now you can't continuously shoot. And that has happened to me before. It's happened to where I ran out of memory cards, or this memory card didn't work. And so now I'm leaving to go find another memory card, and I miss things. And so, yeah, definitely memory card, definitely extra batteries. You never want the camera to die on you. That sucks. That happened to me at a wedding one time. It was the worst, but the good thing is I had a second shooter and they got it. So, but yeah, definitely batteries, memory cards, and food, man. You got to have a little snacks, man, when you're out there. You have to have snacks. Do not be on any job doing anything without snacks. Peanuts, gotta have, water, gotta have chips. Like you have to, like, because you're like you're working, and if you're not hydrated and you're not, fed, man, you you're not, yeah, you're no good to anybody. So definitely food, definitely snacks. I keep I think half my bag is snacks. So I I I, I have to have them.
Snacks are very important.
Absolutely. Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. I also have another question if no
Cool.
one else has questions, but um is there any photographers that like you admire and have influenced your work?
Ooh. So I love looking at old school photographers, like the people before the digital age, before photography was this glamour, oh, I want to be a photographer, I want to take pictures here. We got Instagram and Facebook before all of that. Like, people that actually like, because back then photography and film go hand in hand, you know what I mean? So, old school people like Gordon Parks, you know what I mean, that did film and photography and all different things. And so, man, any of the old school photographers, man, film. I think when I really started out, I wanted to be like I wanted to be like a director of a movie. You know what I'm saying? And different things. And I think I got into photography because that was like, okay, I can obtain this right now and then maybe work my way to, you know what I mean, be. But I would ultimately like to definitely like make a movie one day, even if it's like a small, you know what I mean, a short movie or anything like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you ask any professional photographer what is their dream to do, they would say to make a movie. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, just any like in the professional sports, I follow all the team photographers, and I think I used to want to be a National Geographic photographer. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, come on, like, imagine just they telling you, all right, you need to go to Africa for 2 weeks to, sit in jungle, in this cage and take pictures of the animals. Just, I mean, come on, like, who wouldn't want to do that? You know what I'm saying? And they get paid. Like, it's amazing to see, you know. I would love to do that. If I wasn't doing football, in sports, I would love to do that. I might do that for free. Like it's just, I mean, just to take pictures, go on, just send you on assignments all around the world just to photograph, animals in different habitats. It'd be awesome to do. But yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
get to travel the world.
Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for free.
for
So
free. That's great.
I mean, I know. Oh,
Go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead, Nick.
All right. I mean, I know that there is the option of you trying to sell your photo to
Mhm.
National Geographic. Have you ever thought about that?
So no, because I don't do those type of photos. Like I don't take nature, or my photos have ended up in Sports Illustrated and different things like that sports. But there are people who, that's what they do, and so National Geographic will, if you have, you know, something that they want, they will, you could sell it to them. But they have guys that they have on assignment everywhere. And so they're basically covered when it comes to, certain things. I mean, yeah, I mean, I reached out. I mean, I tried for years, and there was an internship program that they had a few years back, and forgot what happened because I was going to be in an internship and they were going to send me on assignment. I think it was for like a month during the summer to different spots. They were going to pay a stipend, you know what I mean, send you different things. I don't know what happened. I think the program got scrapped, and so wasn't able to do it, but that would have been an awesome experience. Yeah, like they want to see, because they're not like current events. They're not like a newspaper where, oh, panda's over there, take a picture of the panda. They're more like they're what they look at, what they want is more structured things, you know. Oh, why is the icebergs in Antarctica, you know, melting? You know what I mean? And so send people over there and sit there for a month and study that, you know, different things. But yeah, that'd be an awesome job for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I was little, I remember, you know, when people ask you, oh, what's your dream job? And I would always say like professional photographer, something in nature. Obviously, I didn't know what National Geographic was when I was little, but that was definitely something like I was super interested in. So, and they do, you're right, they do make a lot of money. So it'd be well worth it.
A lot of money. And they never leave that job. They die there. They never leave that job.
I mean, who would? Who would want to leave something like that? It's a great opportunity.
I mean, they love it, man. Yeah. It's a couple guys that I follow. I'll once I find them, I'll get Phil to send it out. I mean, the pictures are just crazy, man. One of a guy, he was in I don't know where he was, but he took a picture of a local fisherman. And he's in the water. He's on one of those little, it looked like a surfboard, but it's not. And he was standing on it and he was fishing. And he took a picture. He was like up on like a mountain. And in the water was like a 14-foot shark coming, like coming up out of the thing. And so like he was like trying to alert the guy. So he's taking a picture, but at the same time, like scared for his life, like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So he has this picture of like the shark. Ended up the shark just went on by its way. But it's crazy, like, you know, just sitting there to take pictures like that, you know what I mean? Just to be in different areas where, you know, especially the people that do like the photography, like the underwater stuff, like that crazy stuff. Oh man, no way. That's out of my lane. I have to be on land. Underwater and all that stuff, that's for somebody else. I'm a land person. Keep me on land. I'll take all the pictures here. You see people, crazy people, y'all can go ahead. I don't, no, I have to be on land. That is my rule. On land, no water.
Are you afraid of water?
I'm not afraid of water. I respect water. See? I respect the water. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If we were meant to be in the water, we would have been born in the water, not on land. We were born on land. I did not mess with, no. And the crazy thing about it is, I used to go to like these sailing camps every year. And like every year, I would torture myself at these camps. I mean, they would take us out and they would teach us how to like capsize the boat. We'd be capsizing the boat. We got to flip it back over. And then, you know, my anxiety kicks in and I'm sitting here like, so we're in the ocean and like there are things under there and I just capsized the boat. And so I'm like panicking. Or one time I was like 11, the guy had to come rescue me. He's like, put your feet on the ground. I'm like, we're in the ocean. He's like, yeah, it's the 3-foot part. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I put my feet down. It was good times though, but land photographer. Matter of fact, I'm updating my profile. It's going to say land photographer. No water.
What about if you're in a boat?
It would have to be a really big boat. Like I would need to be like on a cruise ship.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I need to. No, I don't do.
So no whale watching or anything.
No sharks.
Yeah, whale watching from the mountain. I'll be the guy on the mountain looking down at the. No, I don't. Me and water,
Okay.
just don't. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not scared of water. I respect water. That
There's a big
makes
difference.
there's a
That's
difference.
fair.
There we go.
Awesome. So we actually just got 2 more questions in.
Nice.
This is a really good one. When are DIY or janky solutions in lighting, set pieces, etc., acceptable for client work? And then when is it considered poor taste or unprofessional?
So it's always considered poor taste and unprofessional if you don't know. Like literally, when somebody is paying you, and I learned this, like when somebody's paying you, especially in a client setting, somebody's paying you, always put out your best. Like this is not the time to be experimenting. You know what I'm saying? With your, oh, let me bounce this, let me put the light. No, no, no. They're paying you for a certain thing. You can experiment on your own, because that you mess that up, that client is never ever going to use you again. And then they're going to tell somebody else never to use you again. Like you want to, it goes back to a question earlier. You take a job, make sure you can execute it the way that they want. If you can't, do not accept it, at all. I mean, no, like you need to invest. Like I was saying, you have to invest in yourself. You don't have the lighting, you don't have the proper materials, don't take the job. But these days you can rent it. You don't even have to own that stuff. You can rent cameras and lenses and, lighting equipment, everything. Like you don't have to, try to, create your own soft boxes and different things. I used to do that, by the way. Yeah, but no. Let's just get, like, you can rent that stuff for cheap. There are places, especially now, like there are places in this area. I mean, there are camera stores everywhere that let you, rent lighting and lenses and things for cheap. Especially if it's, I mean, if you're getting decent money for it, yeah, it doesn't even, like if I never had my own equipment to shoot football and sports, I could rent that stuff for probably $100. I think I could get a 70 to 200 for like $40 for the weekend, and a camera, maybe $100. They'll let me rent one of those nice cameras, but I can take that, and if I get paid whatever, it's way more than what I put out in the equipment. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have anything, definitely rent it. If you don't have what you need, definitely rent it. If you don't know what you're doing, actually ask somebody, and bring in somebody that does, because that's your work. You know what I mean?
We have one more question.
Cool.
Melissa asks, what is something you wish you had known before getting into the profession?
How hard it was going to be. Like I expected it to be very, easy. I don't know why I expected that, but especially working for myself, like after, getting a check every 1st and 15th for so many years, and then going to, my own business and, have really good weeks, and then some weeks where I didn't bring in anything. And so it's a grind. And so that's, I see why people don't go head first into it. They continue to have their job and they just do this more as like a hobby, because it's hard. I mean, it's not easy, especially when you have people that depend on you, you know what I mean, for food and shelter and clothes and, you know what I mean, Paw Patrol toys. But we won't talk about that right now. We're going to stick to what she said. And yeah, just different things. I just think that with anything, if it's worth, if it's worth going after, it's going to be hard, because once you actually obtain it, you'll feel better about it. It'll be that much more thrilling, and you'll be more appreciative of the journey. But it's not easy.
Thank you.
Nadia, have you asked the question? I haven't heard from you since I said that graphic.
Yeah. I asked like one question in the beginning, but I do have I do have a few more.
Okay.
How do you, like in the beginning and stuff?
Yeah.
I know that you said you worked for free and
Yeah.
stuff. What about people who have been working free for like, you know, a couple of years now? They have their portfolio together and they're basically looking for their first real paid
Yep.
job or
Mhm.
commission or anything. And this relates to
Yep.
like things outside of, you know, just photography, just in the arts in general. Do you
Mhm.
have any advice or anything like that? Any words
So
of wisdom?
absolutely. So you've been doing this for 2 years, grinding, doing stuff for free, editing, spending hours in this field, you know, doing things and not getting paid for it. Now it's time to advertise that. Now it's time to actually find services that will bring work to you. And so what I mean by that is there are companies who are looking for certain things. I mean, it ain't got to be photography, you know, graphic design, it could be anything. And you go to those companies and you start working as like a contractor for them. And so this is something that I did before. I contracted through a company that would put different photography jobs on my schedule. So I would say, hey, look, I'm available Monday from 9 to 3. And they would say, okay, so what are you good at? They would look at my photos and say, okay, you're good at this and you're good at that. Okay. And then they would put jobs on my schedule. And so only way they know that I could do that is by those, you know, my portfolio. And so with 2 years of anything, you need to start reaching out to companies and actually, you know, asking, you know, for them to hire you, and even if it is as a contract, you know what I mean? But yeah, your work, I mean, if you got good work, you definitely can get opportunities. 2 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Sure.
I also have one other question.
Mhm.
How do you, I know that, I don't know like where you stand on this and stuff, but for me, I find that like, you know, I have tried like photographing strangers just to get my like name out there and stuff, but sometimes I cower away because like I get really anxious or like I'm like, oh, they're gonna think I'm
Yeah.
weird and stuff. How do you get
Yeah.
the strength to actually approach people about those things?
Man.
Like how do you
So,
prepare mentally?
so if I told you that I've been doing this for 15 plus years, maybe even longer, and I still get anxious when I approach people, believe it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's something that you never, well, for me, I never really get over because every person is different. You know, you got like I was afraid to be told no. You know, one person tell you no, and it seems like everybody told you no. And that's not the case. It's literally that person just told you no. I mean, there are people everywhere. I mean, if I would have listened to people telling me no, I wouldn't be where I am now. You know what I mean? And that's another one of the question that go back when they were, what would you tell your younger self? That's part of that. Like, you're going to be told no a lot, but keep pushing. You know what I mean? And so what I would do is you got to find like safe spaces, like spaces that you're comfortable in. You know what I mean? Around people that you're comfortable with. And once you get into those settings, it's easier to ask or, you know, to say, oh, okay, you know, let me do this or can I do this for you? Because these are people that you know and you know you trust. It starts there. Like I said, when I went back to the whole family and friends, you start there with them because they are going to allow you to do it because they want to see you succeed. You that's where you all your bumps and bruises, your oh, you know, this wasn't really that good, but I'm getting better. And then once it gets to the point where, yo, now I'm ready, the work speaks for itself. You see what I'm saying? No matter what it is, like your work ultimately is what speaks. Like, they don't see me on social media, they see the work. You know what I mean? They don't, like, it's not me, it's, oh, that person does that work, so I need to employ that person, basically. I want to reach out because I want that person to do this. But yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, trust me, I was told no so many times that I was ready to go back into my old job. You know what I mean? I questioned, you know, if this was what I was supposed to be doing. Oh, maybe this is just a hobby, which is cool. Okay, if this is just a hobby, fine. You know what I mean? Maybe it's time to get a real job. You know, go back to my real job. I got a family. I got kids. You know, I don't have time to just be this. And you know, my wife wouldn't allow me to think like that. You know what I mean? The people around me wouldn't allow me to think like that. And so they said, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And we just, you know, you just keep pushing. And I fought through it. And it's so satisfying when you actually have gone through it. And then you get to the point where you can look back and say, man, you know, all that anxiety, all of that sleepless nights, all of that doubting myself, and now I actually did it. And so I can come on here and tell you guys, yep, I still have doubts and I did that and blah, blah, but on at the end of the day, I pushed through because of, you know, not wanting to give up and people not allow me to give up, basically. And that's with anything. Yeah. So for you, I would say, yeah, start with people that be around, you know, people that are going to have your best interest at heart and are going to allow you to grow no matter what that is. You know what I mean?
Okay. Thank you.
And reach out to people that will give you good advice. Like me. I'll give you some good advice. I got you.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's so nice to hear that you have like a family and friends who support you and support your journey into photography. So that's good to hear.
Absolutely. You know, it's crazy. I would go to back to my homecomings, and I would take pictures there. And this is when I was just doing it, you know what I'm saying, just part-time or whatever. And I would take the pictures, and then at the end, I would just send them to everybody, and they'd be like, man, you take such good pictures. You do this for a living? I was like, no, I just, you know, it's just a hobby. And so first somebody else believed before I did, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you have to, once you get yourself to believe, you know, it's easier to get somebody else to believe, because there are a lot of people who are good in things, but they just don't believe that they can do it. I mean, I was that person, you know what I'm saying? And so if you believe it, it's easier to convince somebody else, like, yo, I can do this. You know what I mean? So that's, yeah, but definitely surround yourself, no matter what it is, with people that believe in you. Believe in your dream.
Yeah. All right. So I don't think anyone has any more questions. It's 9 o'clock. I think we can wrap it up. I want to give a huge thank you to you, Elijah, for coming out and talking to us. A lot of good things were mentioned. I'll take a lot of your advice into my photography skills and also my like future career.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you coming on. Thank you everyone who attended. Thanks for sticking with us to 9 o'clock. Yeah, thank you again. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you for coming.
I think we're all going to take your
Thank
tips.
you.
Don't
Reach out
forget
to me
to
if you need anything.
yes, don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Elijah Vision.
No, Griffin Vision.
Griffin Vision.
Oh no! Oh,
I messed it up. Oh, okay. Griffin Vision.
Elijah Griffin could be the alias. I can start another one. The Elijah Griffin. There you go. No, but yeah, definitely. If you guys need anything, man, reach out to me. There you go. Should put it in there. And yeah, good luck, guys. This was awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
I think we're all going to take your advice, Elijah. So thank you again for being here.
No problem. Have a good one.
Have a good night.
Peace.
That went well.
Yeah, it did.
It did.
Yeah. All right, and let's see. You want to
Awesome.
go over how many people we had?
Yeah. How many people in total?
Well, should we include Elijah or no?
No, it's fine.
Okay, just let me count then.
I know some people like left early as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But all in all, including us and Philip, 17 people.
Oh wait, let me stop the recording. I just realized that.
Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.